and welcome to this short preview to AI for game technology. My name is Tillman Milzo, or just Till, and I will be one of the two instructors. The other is Jordi Vermolen. Okay, so let me introduce you to the content of this course AI and Game Technology. The first part is about reinforcement learning. This part of the course is inspired by this huge breakthrough that I guess many of you have heard, that AlphaZero was beating humans in Go. And you will not learn all of AlphaZero, and we cannot simulate this just because we miss the huge computing power that they have, and all the engineering. But we can learn techniques, and this course can prepare you to write a master thesis on a similar topic or using similar techniques. Okay, so what are those techniques? So okay, let me emphasize here. Here's really the aim is that you're prepared to write a master thesis. So what are these techniques? So straightforward self-play. We will learn something which is called banded agent, which is just how to regulate safe play, so to say. We will learn a very famous technique, which is called Monte Carlo tree search, and we will see how we can use neural networks. So for this course, it's required that you know how to program a neural network and how you set it up without getting instructions from us. But this neural network part is usually, or is the easiest part. The more difficult part is how to generate data that you can feed to train the neural network. So data generation is there the more important and insightful thing. Okay, so currently there are two master theses that I supervise using reinforcement learning. The first one is on the game Stratego. The second one is trying to find nice packing algorithms, again using reinforcement learning. And yeah, so there is no so you can after you've finished your master thesis, you could also work on a similar thesis, or you're ready to do. That's the aim. Okay, so as I said, we cannot replicate Go because it's just already like the rules to implement them is a little bit too much effort for learning the base techniques which we want to focus on. So we use a different game which is similar to tic-tac-toe. So alternatingly, two players put stones on the board. Stones are never removed, and you keep doing this up until one of the players has a pre-specified shape. So here the shape is an L, and as soon as the player has this L, this player wins. He or she wins. And all these techniques that were used for Go, you can use here as well. But we can get much faster results. We can do implementations much faster. And then what you will have to do, you have to test different types of strategies with different parameters, see how often you win, and then you will submit to us your algorithm, and we will evaluate and see how well it performs, and based on this, we will give you a grade. Okay, so regarding grading of the first part, 90% of the tasks that you have to do is implementation, but not just implementations of things that we give you. You have to be creative in using the strategies that we told you. And 10% roughly will be short questions about the lecture, where you will get some knowledge for things, theoretical knowledge that we can't test in the programming because we have only so and so much programming tasks that we can give you. You will do programming alone, but we are thinking about how to make you collaborate with others, but this will not be part of your grade. And I will explain later why we do this. And for the first part, we will mainly use automated grading, which means so you submit your code, we run the code, we will see how well your agent performs, and based on your agent's performance, we will determine the grade. However, there's a caveat: if you use a strategy that is different, very different from any strategy proposed in the lecture, then we may not allow that. But this was no problem last year. We just want to point out that this is also part of it. Okay, so now let me go to the second part of AI for game technology. This is procedural content generation. Here we produce content. So what type of content? So, for example, you will learn how to generate these trees in an automated way, and they look pretty nice and they're pretty simple to generate. There will be a main project. Last year, the main project was to generate an island. There are lots of different techniques. You can choose which technique to use. And this will be more of one long-term project that you have to do. And in the end, you will hand in a code and a documentation on how you generate this island. Again, for this project, for the second part, 90% of your grade will depend on your code and 10% will depend on small quizzes that we give out weekly. Here we will we will allow you to work together, and your grade will not just depend on the program that you submit, but also about the documentation of the program that you submit. Okay, so I want to finish with looking back, because this is a second iteration that we give this course, on what went well and what went bad last time. So there are, for me, two criteria on which I evaluate the outcome of a course. The first one is happiness of the students, student satisfaction, and the second one is reaching a learning goal. And both are equally important for me. Maybe I would even lean a little bit more to the learning goal, which is maybe a little bit more important to me. So let's start with the learning goal. So we are very happy. So we received an average grade, or the students had an average grade of 7.5, which is, as I heard, is higher than in other courses. We had only one student dropping out, which which is very low compared to other courses, specifically because a lot of students complained that the workload is very high. So we are very happy that although the workload was high, we managed to design the course in a way that it's hard to fail and still people reach the learning goal. And one thing, how we checked also reaching the learning goal, we just looked at samples. As I said, we used automated grading, but we looked into many samples more deeply, and we thought just that the result that the students, what they did was just very nice, was of very high quality. So we are very happy with this. One thing that turned out not so good is I proposed some student, don't you want to work on your master thesis with me on reinforcement learning? And they said, I programmed together with a peer, and the peer did all the programming. So they haven't actually achieved the learning goal, and that's why part of this course will be that you need to program by yourself. So we will, working together in groups sometimes didn't work out so well. So at least part of the course you will need to program by yourself. What about student satisfaction? Yeah, so we have to say student satisfaction was very low. Students were unhappy with the course. And the natural question is why? And we digged a lot into it, but I think there may be many reasons, but I think the main reason was just we overwhelmed the students. So that's a statistic we got from the Caracal, which is how much student spent time on. So they had here the option between 5 and 10 hours per week, between 10 and 15. And the last option, which was the most picked option, was above 25 hours. So half the students had, more than half the students who filled in the Caracal evaluation said that they spent more than 25%. There was not an option to say anything more. So that's how many hours they spent. Just to give a reference here, so students should spend per week, on average, 22 hours per week. So they went above this. And in comparison for other courses, the average number here, so here the average is 22.6, is 12. So that means students spend between 10 and 15 hours on average, or maybe between 15 and 17. So we are above the norm that's given by university, and we are above what is expected from other courses. And we think that this is the main reason. Students felt just we gave them so many tasks which they could do, and they learned a lot, but it was just way too much. And even if they get a good grade, it was, they were very ambitious, they want to get even better grades, and that led to disappointment. So last year we had a writing exercise, which was a quarter of the whole course, and we just completely skipped that writing exercise. And we think that should free up a lot of time. We think that should reduce the workload, but at least 25%. It was 25% of the total grade, but we think it was taking up more time than that. Um, so yeah, so we hope that we're quite confident that cuts down a lot of time. Also, this writing exercise was somewhat controversial because it was not exactly on topic. We think it's a good preparation and you learn a lot if you want to write your thesis, and then writing is usually what people struggle most with. So it's a nice exercise, but it was too much for this course on top of the other things, and it was more off topic. Uh, um, so we decided to take it out completely. There's another thing that I think some students get disappointed with. So a lot of techniques in AI and game technology are pretty simple and ad hoc. They're not like, neural networks or stuff like this. They're pretty straightforward. Maybe different to what is in other parts of machine learning that you learn, or maybe in algorithms, where there's really these sophisticated algorithms for which you can have really nice and complicated proofs of correctness. Here, this is missing. And so in the lecture, we will often give a high level explanation of those techniques. We will tell you, okay, this is a principle you should adhere to, and there are trade-offs, and there are different things you can try. But in the end, you have to try, and you have to see for yourself how exactly to use those techniques. So I really want to rub this in to set the right expectation. Okay, at last, let me finish with, I think you can really learn a lot in this course. You can really experiment with these techniques and try out. You have to do a lot of programming. I think it will be a lot of fun if you're interested in reinforcement learning. But even despite the fact that we cut down on time, this course is time intensive. Be prepared, this course will be time intensive. Um, and that's all. I really look forward to you coming to the course and teaching the course a second time. See you.